John Phippen speaking to you from the Goodyear Press Tower. I'm joined by Mr. Rusty Bell, who's taken his position in the S's. Good afternoon, Rusty.
Good afternoon. Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out. A great crowd here in the S's and sunshine on the track. We are ready to go racing.
These are the BMWs, Alfa Romeos, and Datsuns from groups 3 and 8. As we wait for the field to watch for the starter, there's the green flag. It looks like Curt Richards is going to get the jump, but Jim Lenahan puts his right foot down on that 240Z and takes a great leap down into the first turn. He's going to lead the first turn. Right behind them is Benjamin, as we mentioned, Tom Benjamin in that number 35 Alfa, a real force to be reckoned with. And I think it's Robert Davenport giving chase just behind. One of the cars, one of the Spiders, in the pit lane after the pace lap. It's the 167 of Charles Safley. I'm not quite sure what the problem is, as his crew member ducking in to have a chat with him. So Safley, who qualified on row 7, has a problem on the first lap and has pulled into the pits. The hood is up on that car. Let me look out the back here and see the cars coming off the keyhole turn and see if we can see who is in front as they come down in the view of Rusty Bell in just a moment. And it is, I believe, the car of Jim Lenahan still at the front in the 240Z.
It is Jim Lenahan as he brings it down, and right behind the BMW, the 241 machine. Richards being hounded, though, by that 35 that we've talked about earlier today at Tom Benjamin. That's got a lot of motor in that Alfa. A little early weekend issue, and you can see the crinkle on the side of the car, but that's not stopping it from running well. He's pressured for that second spot. Back just a little ways is Rob Mokas. The rest of the cars all getting through here. Tom Downey already has gotten up 5 spots on that very first lap here, very first half lap. So Jim Lenahan continues to lead here at the front.
Yeah, Lenahan running away with it a bit after this first lap. I'm a little surprised that he's able to open up that big a gap after just a single lap, as Curt Richards in the BMW. So we've got a Datsun, a BMW, and an Alfa at the front. So just what we'd like to see in the B.A.D challenge. See some parity between these marks as they come onto the front straightaway to complete the first racing lap. It is Jim Lenahan, then Curt Richards, then Tom Benjamin. Right behind him is the 81 of Rob Mokas, and then that beautiful Alfa Spider of Eric Wood in the number 28 car. Behind him, it looks like Ceasar Cohn is giving a challenge to Robert Davenport in the 22 Alfa. So the Spider trying to get around the GTV as the rest of the field strings out behind and head their way up to the keyhole for the second time. We take a quick peek out the back window of our booth here and see the cars between the trees. Just getting word confirmation from race control that we had no held calls through the course of the first lap, so everybody is underway. As Lenahan is stretching it, but that Alfa Romeo is flying. Tom Benjamin's looking for second place, Rusty.
Watching for that right now as we see them come. Benjamin on the inside. He's going to try to outbreak him side by side, coming off the top end of the straightaway. Benjamin's got it at the moment, but challenged back now from Richards, but he can't make it stick as Benjamin moved the car over to take the line at the entry to 5, and he is up to second. Benjamin to second. Richards back to third, then a gap there back to Mokas. Mokas being pressured a bit by Eric Wood now. They were nose to tail going out of my sight, and that would be the battle for fourth. So a little bit of a change there as Benjamin gets himself up into second.
Will Painter has brought the orange number 36 down the pit lane and has retired after just one lap, so apparently a problem. Getting confirmation from our pit reporters, thanks to Bob Miller and John Young down on the pit lane. The 167 that pulled in, Charles Safley, overheating. So apparently a problem there with that car, and it doesn't look like he's going to head back out. Here comes Lenahan now with Benjamin in second spot. Benjamin pulling away from our pole sitter, Curt Richards. So I think Benjamin may be the car to watch. We check the lap times. He is running about 0.7 of a second quicker than Jim Lenahan. So Tom Benjamin in the number 35 Alfa is flying right now and looking perhaps for the lead. Rob Mokas back in fourth spot. Eric Wood in fifth. Davenport, Cohn, Hal Nichols in the 44. David Huber in the Datsun 45. And Vitas Svedas in the number 23 are your top 10 as they run right now. But Tom Benjamin appears to be the guy on the move at the stripe. He was 1.3 seconds behind our leader, Jim Lenahan. So the Alfa is coming to the fore here. There's Lenahan, there's Benjamin, about equally spaced back to Curt Richards as they come into your view once again. Rusty, we're working race lap 3.
Watching that right now as they make their way down, and Benjamin is indeed closing on Lenahan. We're watching that right now, about 4 car lengths as they come off the straight. Richards sitting in the back about 4 car lengths behind the 35 of Benjamin. So he's not going away at the moment as he's able to maintain the same pace. Then that great battle behind between the 81 and the 28, Mokas and Eric Wood battling the car length. And then behind that, the 22 machine bringing up the 6th place, Robert Davenport. So great racing there at the front, but the front 3 were equally spaced that time as they made their way through the S's.
We understand the 93 car of Andrew Dahl, the silver Datsun 240Z, is going to be shown the meatball, which indicates potentially a mechanical issue that they want to get that car in and let the stewards have a look, as the top 3 beginning to bunch up just a bit as they come onto the front straightaway. Jim Lenahan in the 240Z took the lead on the first lap and has yet to relinquish it. Tom Benjamin has moved around our pole sitter, Curt Richards, who's currently lying 3rd. Rob Mokas and Eric Wood having a great battle behind, and then the 22 of Davenport with Ceasar Cohn right behind him. And then a little further back, Hal Nichols in the red Alfa, then David Huber in the Datsun 510. Vidas Vedas rounding out the top 10 once again, as the positions in contention are at the front with only about just over a second between Benjamin and Lenahan, and then about a half a second back to Curt Richards. And then it's about a 6-second gap back to Rob Mokas, but he and Eric Wood are really locked together. Less than half a second separates those two, as we're about 6 minutes into the 30-minute event, as the field makes its way through the keyhole once again and down the back straightaway.
Lenahan continues to lead at the moment. He's got about 5 car lengths right now on Tom Benjamin, but Benjamin coming under pressure now. Curt Richards challenging back, closes it down to a car length as they get to the top of the hill here. 2 completely different lines coming off the top end of the straight and over the top of turn 5, but they're both getting through here at about the same pace. But Benjamin definitely challenging back now. We're also watching the progress of Tom Downey. Seems to have stalled as he's got a big miss in that Datsun as he makes it through the S's. He's able to pass a couple of cars on the straight, and then through the S's he loses a couple because the car missing bad as he comes off the corners.
The 93 having come in to acknowledge the meatball flag that was shown to that driver in the Datsun of Andrew Dahl. And it looks like he's going to pull up to his crew and see if they can rectify whatever problem the stewards had with that machine. As our leaders come by, and the interval between first and second continues to get just a little bit shorter. It's under a second now. It's 8/10 between Lenahan and Benjamin, as the interval back to Curt Richards stays about the same. And we've got a change as Rob Mokas has gotten around, or Eric Wood, excuse me, has gotten around Rob Mokas to take over that 4th spot. So Mokas in the yellow number 81 falls back to 5th. Davenport in the red 22, Ceasar Cohn in the yellow 62 continue to run close. Hal Nichols and David Huber rounding out that battle near the front, as those 4 from 6th on back all setting their fastest laps on this last circuit of the course. So they are still accelerating. A little deeper in the pack, Roman Tucker in the 25 running 16th. Tom Downey, as you mentioned, Rusty, back in 17th position. So I don't know what the issue might be with that car, but he's not on the pace that he was earlier.
Lenahan being closed down on by both cars behind. It's going to be a 3-way battle as an outside challenge there, and gets the tail end a bit wide from Curt Richards, trying to get that BMW to come around or rotate around the top of turn 5. Can't quite make that happen as the rear end stepped out on him a little too far. Is still about a car length back. A new car on the move though, the Ceasar Cohn machine gets around that 22 car of Davenport to put him back, and he's closing down on the battle right in front of him with Rob Mokas and Eric Wood. So Ceasar Cohn definitely the car on the move in that second pack.
Yeah, this is kind of a reprise of the battles that we saw in the Group 8 sprint race earlier today, as the same combatants going at it here, as the top 3 definitely spread out, and Benjamin has really made up some ground now on Lenahan, as that Alfa is right on the back bumper of Jim Lenahan. Curt Richards coming right with him. So the top 3, I would call it a car length between each of them. Benjamin appears to be the quickest of the group, as Eric Wood drawing away now from Rob Mokas in the 81. Ceasar Cohn, as you mentioned, in that yellow roadster, trying to close down on the back of Rob Mokas, and then just behind him, the 22 of Robert Davenport. A little bigger gap back to the 81 of Hal Nichols, with David Huber in the Datsun and Vitas Svedas right behind him. Looks like the 167 is definitely done for the day, as Charles Safley is going to get help from one of the safety workers to tow that car back to the paddock as it was overheating.
Down the straightaway, a little bit of lap traffic now right in front of Lenihan. He gets by, and then we've got the 35 of Benjamin. They've all tightened that whole thing up here a little bit as the 241 of Richards not going away. They are continue to pull it out away from this next pack behind, and here comes Ceasar Cone. Gets around the 81, well, not quite. They're side by side now. He gets it wide into the grass. The 81 takes a rough ride. He's going to spin and impact the 22 car. They hit. Both of them spin off track to driver's left, so Ceasar Cone trying to make that pass on the outside, gets caught out over the curb into the grass, and the car gets sideways in the grass and has impacted the 22 machine, and they are both off track. Robert Davenport and Ceasar Cone both stalled, still sitting to driver's left in the grass, but a little bit of damage to both those machines, and neither one has been able to get it refired at the moment. So a little bit of drama here in the S's as we've got the yellow flags out here in the middle of the S's. Still no movement from either car. It wasn't really a hard impact, but it was enough that it may have damaged both vehicles enough that they can't continue.
With that promotes Hal Nichols in the number 44 car up into that 6th position behind Rob Mokas in the 81, as David Huber in the Datsun 45 and Vidas Svedas in the 23 moving up. And then right behind him, another of the Alphas, the 174 of Donald Wannegat, and now, let's see, that would be the, not 199 of Vince Vaccaro have moved up inside the top 10. And again, we may have been misinformed. This race originally scheduled to be 30 minutes in duration, but perhaps it has been shortened to the 12-minute duration of all the sprint races. If that's the case, we may see the 1 lap to go signal next time by. We'll keep an eye on the starter stand here to see if the assistant starter hangs that board out over the edge to indicate that we're on the last lap. That would indicate the sense of urgency that some of these guys have trying to move forward.
Well, the 22 finally gets it refired and is going to rejoin here. Obviously, virtually a lap down as we saw the front 3 cars go by with Lenihan still at the point. He's able to continue on. No other changes there as we've got some debris still out on the track. We get a debris flag as well, part of that incident from earlier. And we still have the Ceasar Cone machine stationary just off to driver's left, which is why we've got the yellow still up out here. But the 22 able to get it restarted. Robert Davenport is going to drop just behind the leaders.
And we were wrong, and of course, timing and scoring is right. It is a 12-minute race, as the last lap board has been shown to the trio at the front. So Jim Lenihan leading, Tom Benjamin leading Curt Richards, and they are well out in front of Eric Wood in the blue number 28 Alfa Roadster. Rob Mokas in the 81 giving chase, and then a little further back to Hal Nichols. The 22 has made it back into the pit lane after being involved in that spin with Ceasar Cone. So Robert Davenport is in the pits, but leaders should be working their way down the back straightaway shortly, and we are on the final lap. By the way, we got a confirmation on the 93 car of Andrew Dahl. It was dumping, and they've asked it to retire, so he's back to the paddock.
Waiting for the leaders to come down. We did have Ceasar Cone get his car restarted, so the situation is cleared back here. We still have a little debris on the track just outside the line at 6, but the yellow is down, so our leaders coming through here on the last lap. The 240 showing the way right now. Really no change up front as Lenihan has maintained that gap for most of the race, and really no challenge back as the 35 of Benjamin and Curt Richards are a couple of car lengths behind.
We'll wait for the leaders to pop into our view as they're working their way through turn 9 right now. They pop under the Mid-Ohio Bridge, the walkover bridge in Thunder Valley, out from behind the tree, and it is still the 280Z, or the 240Z, should I say, of Jim Lenihan at the point. But Tom Benjamin coming hard. He's going to try to make a challenge on this last lap as they hit the carousel turn. Not able to get much done, and it looks like that's the way they're going to finish as they come onto the front straightaway for the final time. It is Jim Lenihan taking the checkers first. The 35 of Tom Benjamin, second. Third place goes to the pole sitter, the 241 BMW of Curt Richards. So just as we like to see in the two bad challenge, we've got a BMW, a Datsun, and an Alfa Romeo in the top three. The rest of the field not settled yet as the 28 of Eric Wood comes by in the fourth position. Rob Mokas in the yellow number 81 will finish in the fifth spot. Sixth will go to Hal Nichols as he's working his way through some slower traffic. Right behind Hal is the 45 Datsun of David Huber. We're looking for Vidas Vedas in the number 23. Here he comes, as that Alfa will take the 8th place honors. Donald Wannigat in the number 174 cracks the top 10 in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 will be the 199 of Vince Vaccaro, we believe. But he's involved in a battle of his own with one of the 2002s. That's the 316, but not quite able to get it done. Skip Bryant will come home in 11th position.
You ran 510 here last year.
Yes, yes indeed.
Yeah.
It's always good though. It's always a fun race.
Yeah, good stuff.
So it's a bad podium. Nice job,
It is a
guys.
bad podium.
You couldn't have written that better. How was it?
It was a lot of work because
Yeah.
these guys put the heat on me. That's what it was. It made me sweat. I was working hard.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Jim, there's yours.
Yeah.
So how's it feel? Good weekend?
Oh, great. I couldn't be happier. Yeah, the car ran great. I overcame a few little problems, but you know, for the most part, it's it did really good. I'm tickled.
How about you? How was the Alfa?
Alpha's great. Alpha's always great.
Here's your hat.
Good job on the podium.
So John, we have a bad podium. We couldn't have written that any better.
Now we're gonna call it DAB.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the bad boys.
I had to, yeah.
There you go. The Deborah.
No, you're not my way.
Jim, how was the Datsun?
It was running good.
Yeah?
Good. I had to run as fast as I could. These guys were right on my tail.
BMW Alfa Datsun, and it was a storybook finish. We got to call it the DAB challenge now. These are the Dab boys.